At Discovery Church, we believe we were made for freedom. Unfortunately, we've been lied to. Convinced that living the life we want to live leads to freedom, that if it feels good, we ought to do it, and that there is nothing we can do with our brokenness. The Bible says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." It does not say you shall know the truth and use it to judge and condemn everyone. It will make us free. Free to love, free to give grace to all. So we're committed to that and build everything on that truth. We all make mistakes, mess ups, and have things in our life we wish we could redo. Jesus gave us grace, and that compels us to extend that to everyone we meet. The Bible then presents a dangerous, life-changing message. In the face of a world that is quick to judge, point fingers, and condemn, we stand against that and with the God who loves the world. We die on the hill of biblical grace and truth.
Hey guys, we are so excited about what's happening this week at DCC. So why are we doing this together on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night? Ever since we got the opportunity to meet again in person in June, we have been working hard to figure out how to keep our online campus and Austin Bluffs campus connected. So we decided that the best way to do that and to bring all of us together as United Church starting this Sunday is to bring you this service tonight. That way we are all together on Sunday and all of our online friends stay caught up in the series. We are excited that we are all experiencing one service, the same service together in this weekend and into the future. So we hope that you enjoy Everyday Hero week 2 today, and we look forward to bringing you the third week of the series this Sunday. Now, what's new and fun is that we are having an after party. You might be asking, what does that mean? We can't meet in person, we can't gather. Don't worry, it's virtual. But what that means is that as soon as service is done, you'll see a link to connect, and it's just gonna be a huge Zoom call, guys. We're gonna talk about the service. We're gonna get to meet each other. We're gonna get to pray for each other and just connect, right? So go ahead, find that link, log in, and just partake, whether you're someone who just likes to listen or if you just love to talk, right? This is a place for you. No agenda, no expectations, it's just a fun time. So go ahead and join, and we'll see you guys at the after party.
Come on. I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover. But the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. I believe in signs and wonders. I have resurrection power. Still the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. Yes, my praise belongs to you forever. Come on, let's testify. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Come on. Come together, sons and daughters, bought with blood and washed in water. Sing the praises of the Spirit, Son and Father. Our God will finish what He started. Come on. Yes, our God will finish what He started. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Come on, can we get rowdy? Do you believe it? Sing it out. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Oh, greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things still to come. Oh, I believe. Oh, let's testify. This is my testimony from dead to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. Oh, I'm alive. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify. By Jesus Christ the righteous, I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony.
Spending a little bit of your weekend time with us. So good to have you with us as we continue on in this journey, this trek that we started together last week called Everyday Hero. And hey, as we jump into this together today, let me be clear about this. So things came at us kind of hard this past week. We had to change some things up. And so with COVID spiking, we made a decision that we had to dial things back and go to an online-only experience for the next few weeks. That way we can keep people separated. We can let the building clear out. We can let people get well. And then we can regroup and see where we are after that. So what that means for you is there are actually two, not one, but two online experiences available to you this weekend. I just want to make sure you're in the right place. If you are a regular online attender, like that's your deal, that's your jam every single week, you're online with us, listen, you may want to look again and maybe go back and watch week 1 of Everyday Hero, which was actually last week. Our online experience for our online crowd is delayed 1 week. That's the way we can bring excellence to you every single week. So you want to make sure that you're watching the one that was actually recorded on November the 8th, that message. And if you're part of the crowd that was here last week, you were actually present in the building with us last weekend, then you're in the right place. This is what you need to be watching so that you can stay current in this series. Listen, I know it's confusing. It's coming, and thanks for being patient with us. Thanks for your understanding as we try to navigate all the craziness in this world today. Listen, all we want is the online experience to be what you want it to be and what you need it to be. And if you're a brand new friend with us for the first time today, here's this to you. Honor and privilege. We are honored and privileged to have you with us today, too. It's great to have you with us. We hope you have a great experience that makes you want to come back and do this with us next week. And we hope more than that we get the opportunity, we really hope we get the opportunity to meet you in person real soon. Okay, all right, let's jump into this and let's do this thing. So here's what comes to mind for me as we begin to walk into this together. This series has been a long time in coming. Honestly, it's been too long in coming. Let's talk a little bit about that. So shortly after I arrived here in the summer of 2008 to be a part of leading this place, we started to throw this term around called Me Too. Me Too kind of became our motto. It became our mantra. It became our thing. Me Too. What it meant was you've made mistakes. Yeah, me too. You've hurt people. Me too. You've been hurt by people. Me too. You wish you could change your life or some parts of your story. Me too. You're hopeless without Jesus. Me too. It goes on and on and on. It became a central part of who we are. It became our thing, and MeTooPlace.com became our website, became our domain. It was just who we are. It was who we were becoming. And if you showed up here today, it's still what you would experience in this place. It is the core DNA of this place. We're a mass unit for hurting and broken and messed up and hopeless people. That's who we are today. But in 2017, God started stirring some things up inside of me. And it looks something like this. Greg, hey, I love DCC. And I love that it's a safe place. It's a secure place for people. No matter what they've done, no matter how their stories read, no matter what they believe or they don't believe, I love that. But Greg, you got to challenge people. You haven't challenged people to step up and into what life with me can really be. Greg, you just haven't done that. So God started challenging me. He started stirring that stuff up in me. And that is the stuff that has been stirring in the past 4 years in this place. And that is why we're doing this series. This series is our next step together into that. That's why we're doing this series. So we started the journey last week with this, right? The path to hero starts with you, actually starts in you. That before God can do hero stuff through us, we really need to pause and allow him to do what he wants to do and what he needs to do in us. That is the first step on the path. That's the first step on the path. And then, so what is the next step after that? That's the question. Great question. Thought you'd never ask. Let's jump back on the path together and let's see what is the next step for each and every one of us. If you got a Bible in front of you and you want to follow along with the Bible, that's great. We're going to be in Matthew 22, then we're going to flip over to Luke 9. If you don't have a Bible, no sweat. Everything I'm getting ready to read is going to be right there for you at the bottom of the screen. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the story that we're jumping in through so we're all on the same page. So where we are in a story is a teacher of the law, really smart guy, is going to come and he's going to ask Jesus a question. Now, all the Pharisees, who are the churchiest of church people of that day, the real religious guys, they're all standing around and they're listening to the question. The question's pretty simple. It goes like this: Jesus, of all the commandments, the do's and don'ts do's, the rules and the regulations, which one is the most important? It's a legitimate question because there are over 600 laws, 600 commandments, 600 do's and don't do's on the books in Israel in that day. I mean, I would want to know the answer to that question. Why? Because if I'm going to blow it, if I'm going to break some commandments, I'm going to break 1 or 2 or 10 or a few dozen, whatever it might be, I want to make sure I don't break that one. It's kind of like when I was growing up as a kid. Is this going to get me a lecture from my parents, or is this going to get me a spanking? Now, I know spanking, politically correct, all that in today's world. It's the world I grew up in as a kid, so maybe you did too. You get the point. It's like, how much trouble is this going to get me in? I really need to know, of all these things I'm supposed to do or not do, which is the most important one? And we are picking up the story today with Jesus' response to that question. So we are in Matthew chapter 22, beginning with verse 37. Here we go. Here's how Jesus replied to the question. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it, right there with it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. All right, so what's Jesus doing here? Jesus is pointing you and me, he's pointing us to true north. What is true north on the path to being an everyday hero? Just keep your focus on this. This is true north for you. Love God, love others as you love yourself. Now let's get out of church context for just a second. Let's just talk about the word hero. Now, hero by definition is what? Is someone who puts the interest of someone else ahead of their own interest. That's a pretty generic definition, but it's true. And it lines up with what Jesus is saying to us here too. But when it comes to kingdom hero, when it comes to this in story, there's obviously just a little bit more to it than just that. So as we think about how Jesus responds to the teacher of the law here, I think we need to pause. Before we run too hard down the path together today, we need to pause. And we need to ask ourselves a question. It's a pretty simple one. It goes like this. Who is at the center of the story that I'm living in? Just be honest with yourself. Make it personal. Don't answer out loud. She doesn't need to hear it. Just this is the question, right? Who is at the center of the story that I find myself living in today? Now, I can't answer for you. I don't know about you, but for me, for most of my life, I have found myself living in a very small story that revolves around me. I don't know about you, but that's been my story. Right? Hopefully not as much lately, but I find myself living in a very small story that revolves around me. And if you think about it, in this crazy world that we're living in today with all the pressure and all the stresses and all the worries and all the fear and all the things that are going on, this world that we're all living in today just has a way of what? Trying to pull us into the center of a small story. It really, really does. It just pulls us in that direction. Do you think so? Yes, it does. See, here's the thing. I don't ever remember, when I think about my life and story, I don't ever remember making a conscious decision. You know what? I'm going to be the center of the story. The world is going to revolve around me. I don't ever remember making a conscious decision that I was going to ever do that. See, most of us aren't even aware of it when we're doing it. And that's what makes what Jesus is telling us so important today. This is the thing. It is hard, if not impossible, for you and for me to stay out of the center of the circle if we don't get what Jesus is trying to help us get here. If we miss what it is Jesus is getting to here, what does he say? He says that we are to love others. Of course we are. I mean, that's hero stuff. Others ahead of you. That's hero stuff. But here's the part. Here's the part I'm talking about. We're supposed to love others as we love ourselves. We have to get this as yourself piece. As ourselves piece, we have to get it. We cannot miss this as ourself piece. It is huge, and it's exactly why we started this journey where we started it last week. Listen, if you missed that, you need to go back and watch that. It is so foundational to what it is that we're talking about today. We can't miss this. It is this as yourself, love yourself piece. Now, that sounds selfish. It sounds narcissistic. It sounds self-centered, all that. No. When we talk about loving yourself, we're talking about looking into the mirror and being able to see yourself like God sees you. It is that piece. It is that love yourself, love others as yourself piece that allows us to what? To reject, to push back on being pulled into the center of the world, of the story that we find ourselves living in. You know, as I was thinking about this past week, I ran across a quote from the great theologian Brad Pitt from a magazine article in Rolling Stone magazine 20 years ago. Now, here's the thing. He was talking about the definition of worldly success, the definition of what a hero in the world's eye, what it really looks like. Now, here's the thing. I don't know where Brad Pitt is theologically. I don't. I know lots of ladies like him. I know he's not hard to look at. I would imagine there's some man crushes out there too. He's a good-looking man. That's all true. But here's the thing. I don't know where he is theologically. But I do know there's some truth to what he said in that article. I want to read it to you. Listen to what he said. He says, we're headed for a dead end, a numbing of the soul, a complete atrophy of the spiritual being. The emphasis now is on success and personal gain. What's that? Being in the center of the story, isn't it? He says, I'm sitting in it, and I'm telling you that's not it. I'm the guy who's got everything. But I'm telling you, once you get everything, oh, this is so good, then you're just left with yourself. Yikes. He said, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It doesn't help you sleep any better. And you don't wake up any better because of it. Now, no one's going to want to hear that. I understand it. I'm sorry, but I'm the guy who's got to say it. But I'm telling you, it's true. Now, what's he describing? What is Brad Pitt describing for us right there? What he's describing is the emptiness that automatically comes when what? When we find ourselves living at the center of the world that we happen to be living in. It's such good stuff. See, being the hero that God created us to be, being the hero that God called us and uniquely created us to be. We really want to be that. We got to what? We got to push back on. We got to reject the temptation to what? To be at the center of the story that we find ourselves living in. So, who's at the center of the story that we're living in? And if it's me or if it's you, how are we going to change that? What do we do about that? Well, Jesus is getting ready to help us with that. So some more stuff from Jesus on this whole hero thing. Now we're flipping over to Luke. So Luke chapter 9, we're going to pick it up another moment in the life of Jesus with verse 18. Here we go. Once when Jesus was praying in private and his disciples were with him, he asked them, he said, "Who do the crowd say I am?" And they replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others that one of the prophets of long ago has come back to life. But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" And Peter answered, "God's Messiah." And Jesus strictly warned them not to tell this to anyone. Hang on to that. And he said, "The Son of Man must suffer," speaking about himself, "many things and be rejected by his elders, the chief priests and the teachers of the law, and he must be killed on the third day, and on the third day be raised to life." Okay, let's pause right there. So Jesus asked his buddies around him, his disciples, "Hey, who do these huge crowds that are coming around and wanting to hear me teach, who do they say that I am?" And they say, "Oh, some people say you're Elijah, some say John the Baptist, some say one of the other prophets." And he's like, great. Who do you guys say that I am?" And Peter speaks up. Of course he does. Peter's impulsive. He always speaks up. And Peter says, "You are God's Messiah. You, Jesus, you're the coming king. You are the coming hero in the story." Now the question is he right? Yes, he's right. Ding, ding, ding. Peter, go to the head of the class. He's absolutely right. So here's my question. If he's right, why does Jesus strictly warn them not to tell this to anyone? How does that make sense? And here it is. Are you ready? It's not just that it's not time yet. Here it is. They have the right answer, but they have the wrong idea about what that really means. They have the right answer. Peter has the right answer, but he has the wrong idea about what that really means. He's thinking powerhouse king. He's thinking military conqueror. He's thinking someone this king is going to come in, he's going to kick some and take some names. That's what he's going to do, right? He's going to overthrow, and he's going to sit on the throne, and he's going to dare you to cross him. That's what they're thinking. In fact, that's what everyone in Israel expected this coming hero king to be. And Jesus is like, no, you guys just don't understand. I got to help you understand this, boys. So here it is. Listen, this hero, guess what? He's going to suffer. That makes no sense. Yeah, guess what? This coming hero king, he's going to be rejected. People aren't going to embrace him, celebrate him. No, they're going to reject him. What? That doesn't make any sense, Jesus. Yeah, this coming king, this coming hero, guess what? He's going to die. And Jesus is like, I know, guys, I got to help you understand this. Before you go trying to teach it, I got to help you understand. What he's trying to do is he's trying to help his guys understand and embrace this. And we got to understand and embrace it too. It's pretty simple. Kingdom heroes are different kind of, they are. And this is where the roads kind of go like this. Part of our vision here at DCC, our vision is pretty simple. It's to redefine church and Christian. Change what people think when they hear the words church and Christian. Now that sounds arrogant. It sounds egotistical. Hold on just a second. As I say that, I want to say this to you. Two things about that. First of all, that doesn't mean that we're going to come up with some idea of what church and Christian is supposed to be, some cool or rad or hip idea, and we're going to come up with it. No. We just want to get back to what Jesus said it should be. And the second thing is, it is huge, and we know we can't do it alone. This is where this one united church thing that we're all about in this place, this is where it comes into play. This is why we're so involved with Cause I Love You. But we do want to be a part of something, a movement of God that changes what people think when they hear the word church and when they hear the word Christian. In order for us to do that, we have to allow Jesus to redefine hero for each and every one of us. When we started this journey this past week, I told you a story about walking into the office one day, and someone had taken a Post-it note, and they put it on my door, and it simply said, hero. And I told you how my heart jumped when I saw it, and when I saw it, I just left it there. I just let it stay right there on the door, and I really, as much as I struggled to continue to believe that and had to really make efforts to believe it, every time I saw it when I come into the office, it just did wonders for my heart. It really did. So I left it there for a while. Then one day I was talking with Tamara. I was sitting in my desk. She was standing inside the door. The door was open, and she's talking to me about something, and I could see the hero sticker over her shoulder, and I just kept looking at that hero sticker, and she's talking, and then I just got distracted by the hero sticker, and so I said, hey, I'm sorry, can I ask you to do something for me? She's like, sure, what do you need? So I reach in my pocket, and I pull out my blue Sharpie, which I always carry. I know, I'm a nerd, I'm goofy. This is my sermon revision tool that you always have to have with you when you're a pastor, but I give it to her, and I say, hey, could you take this, and could you write something on that for me? She says, sure. And so she did. And here it is. So this is what it looks like today. There it is in the center. And ever since then, it's been on my door, and it's looked like that. So what's the change and why the change? Well, I've already talked about it. It's what God started stirring up in me in 2017. When I felt like God was challenging me, saying, Greg, this place is great. It's awesome. You want people to be safe. You want them to be welcome, and they need to be taken care of and comforted and loved and all that stuff. They need to find hope. That's all good. But you've got to challenge people to step up and into what life with me can really be, Greg. And so in 2018, we started to do that. And my preaching, if you were around here then, it became different. There was more challenge to it and all of that. And so we do that in 2018. Then we get to 2019, and God led us to change our domain from me2place.com, which is still ours, and if you go there, you still get to our website. It's all good, but to livetorescue.com. Now, does it mean we lose Me Too? Of course not. We're still that place. Safe, regardless how your story reads, what you've done, what you're doing when you come in here. None of that matters, right? You are safe and welcome here, but we're also a place that points people to the urgent call to action that God is putting in front of every single one of us every day too. So God started working on me. The change on that Post-it note was about the journey, what God was doing inside of me. But the final thing in that journey for me actually came at the end of 2019. I was having lunch with a pastor friend in town. His name's Brian. He said to me, he said, Greg, he said, I read this book. He made me think about you, man. This is who you are, and I think you need to read it. He says, it's called Hero Maker. Well, I'd heard of the book. In fact, I know the guy. I hung out years ago with the guy, Dave Ferguson, who wrote it. He's a pastor in Chicago. He's a good dude. You know, but I didn't have it. I hadn't read it yet. And so one Sunday afternoon, I was like, you know what? I'm going to download that book. I need to add another book. I usually read 3 or 4 or 5 books at a time on my Kindle. So I downloaded the book. That night, I go to bed. I always read before I go to sleep. I'm reading my Kindle. I'm reading this book. I got about a chapter and a half, 2 chapters in, and I had to stop reading it. It wasn't because it was boring. It wasn't because it didn't make any sense. It's because it messed with me. And so I'm like, whoop, menu, going right back to my Special Forces book. That feels safe. That feels right to me. It rattled me. It messed with me. It made me really, really uncomfortable. I want to read to you a few of the statements from that book that left me in that place, okay? Now, these are not in order necessarily, and it's not a paragraph. These are just kind of bullet points. Listen to this. The single biggest obstacle to movement-making impact is a leader that is stuck, always needing to be the hero. The secret is the kingdom of God. We cannot let the story become about us, our leadership, or even our churches. Church building is about counting the people who show up to our thing. Kingdom building is counting the heroes who go out and do God's thing. It's always about the kingdom and making heroes of others. And this is the one that just finally I said enough, and I had to leave the book. Dave writes, if I could only give you one leadership question to ask yourself every day to maximize and multiply your influence, it would be this. Are you ready? Am I trying to be the hero, or am I trying to make heroes out of others? That question paralyzed me. That question shook me to the core of, I'm not trying to be the hero. I'm really not trying to be the hero. And while I've never intended to be the hero, I really haven't intended to. You know what I have done? I've allowed my brokenness and my pain in this healing journey that I'm on, I've allowed the growing crowd, here it is, the growing crowd at DCC over the years to medicate my pain, to shut down the voices of all the naysayers who say, you can't be in ministry, you shouldn't be in ministry, you'll never be in ministry, and to help me believe that maybe I have something to offer the kingdom. And so God said, Greg, we need to take a look at this. And we have. And God finally gave me the courage to get back into the book, and I finished the book, and He's really used it to challenge me and to change me and to shape me, and He continues to do that. I mean, come on, really? The crowd thing? I spent the first half of this year preaching to a huge empty room. Think about it. Right? More often than not, I'm preaching to a huge empty room with just a couple of really expert camera people in the room with me. That's it. And guess what? That's what I'm doing today too. Here we are again. God has got a sense of humor. I'm sure he's patting me on the head right now saying, son, come on. It's going to be okay. Listen, here's what I've learned. Here's what God's taught me over the last 4 years. Kingdom heroes, they really are. They're a different kind of heroes. And becoming a kingdom hero, becoming a hero in the kingdom, when you're doing that, guess what? Becoming a hero, being the hero becomes less and less the goal. It becomes less and less important. It actually lines you up with what? With the other-centered life that Jesus is constantly pointing every single one of us to. If you think about it, you know it's true. Now, I love this quote. This is from Derwin Gray. He's a pastor in North Carolina. Listen to what he says. He says, the best leaders look into the soul of a person and say, I see what you could be. And my role is to bring that out of you. What I want you to know, DCC, is we are committed to that in this place. That we are more determined than we've ever been to do everything and anything that we can to help you become the kingdom hero that you were created and called to be, the unique creation that you were called to be. And we're calling them field medics, right? We're going to talk more about that in the future. And listen, that points to this. That's why this series is so important. And you have to stay with us in this series. Every single week, you got to stay in this series. We're going to be talking more. What does that look like? What does that really mean? How's that going to play out for you? You've got to stay with us in this series. More to come on that. So be excited and stay plugged in with us on this journey. But for today, we need to move on to the last few verses and finish this thing up. Okay, so Jesus is talking to his disciples, remember, and he says, you guys, you're all wrong about this hero thing. I got to show you what it really looks like. So here I go, all right? Ultimately, he says this. Here's the path. It's not that. It looks more like this, but here is the path that will lead you guys to being the heroes that I've created you to be. So we're going to pick it up there, verse 23. Then he said to them all, here it is, here's the path. Whoever wants to be my disciple, my field medic, my hero, a hero for the kingdom, must deny themselves, take up their cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will save it. You know, those two verses, that is the very essence of being a hero. That is the core DNA of every kingdom hero. And that is the path for you and me being the heroes that God has created each and every single one of us to be. If you think about it, it's a pretty short passage, just 2 verses, but there's a whole lot of punch packed into just those 2 verses. In fact, so much so that I only want us to take the first bite today. Let's just bite off a little bit today. Let's just start with the very first piece. What am I talking about? I'm talking about deny yourself. You want to be a hero? Deny yourself. You want to be a hero in the kingdom? Deny yourself. How are we doing with that? I think we need to end our journey together today with this. Being a hero, it's pretty simple. It's about surrender. Are we willing to surrender? The personal question we need to ask ourselves, am I willing to surrender? Surrender what? Everything? To lay it down, to let it go, to hold it loosely? Am I willing to put the health, the wealth, the benefit, the security and the safety and the life and the future of other people ahead of myself? Am I really willing to live a God-centered, other-centered life? And Jesus, what he calls that is, what's he calling it here? He's calling it denying yourself. See, it's not about what we have the right to do. It is not about what we could do. It's not about what we prefer to do or even want to do. It's about laying down our preferences and focusing more on the needs of other people around us. I'm just going to be honest with you. We live in a world today that's gotten whacked. I think it's gotten crazy. That's become all about our rights and our freedoms, our religious rights and our religious freedoms. And surrender? No way. No, we're not going to do that, right? Jesus says, you'll be a hero in the kingdom, you've got to deny yourself. You've got to surrender. No. Surrender has become something different for us, right? It's defined as it's become a sign of concession or a sign of weakness or a sign of caving into the culture or a sign of giving in. And so what do? We say, surrender? No way, not now, not going to do it. That's what we do. It's what we've done. I want to tell you something. Jesus makes it clear. It's a path to being a hero in the kingdom, but I've never seen the church. I've never seen Christian people, Jesus followers, whatever you want to call us, struggle with this idea of surrender like we've struggled with it this year in 2020. Now here's the thing. This surrender thing is not you and me, us, the church, the capital C church, raising the white flag and just conceding the kingdom of God. Oh yeah, it's over, you win. No, it's about you and me taking up our crosses and bringing the kingdom. That's exactly what Jesus is asking us to do. Yes, even in this crazy world that we're living in today, he says, I'm going to build my church. Hell's not going to stop it. But he's also saying this, church, come on, it's time. Surrender. Take up your cross. Follow me. Help me do this. We look around the world today. What are we looking at? We're seeing all the challenges that facing the church. And there's lots of them. I give you that. But here's what I'm afraid. We're seeing all the challenges. And you and I, we're missing the huge opportunity. The huge opportunity that we have right now to show the love of Jesus with no strings attached to this broken and hurting and hopeless and fearful world. Attached to this broken and hurting and hopeless and fearful world. More than we need a new president? More than we need more of the old president? More than we need more of the same? More than we need change? You can think what you want to about that, but you know what the world needs? You know what our country needs? We need more God. It's simple. We just need more God. And God is asking you and me to be a part of bringing that. He's saying, hey, will you deny yourself? Will you surrender? And would you help me to really and truly bring that in the world all around you? It's a great question. Every single day in this crazy world that we're living in, it is so easy for us to what? To get pulled to the center of the story. And the world becomes about what? What we want and what we need. It is what we do. It's what we do every day. In the midst of all the crazy, there are opportunities for us to be the kingdom heroes, the heroes that we've been created to be too. And so my question is, are we looking for them? Are we looking for them? Let's not make this stuff harder than it has to be. So who is at the center of the story that we're living in? Who is it? Is it the president? Is it politics? Is it this? Is it that? Is it Jesus? It needs to be Jesus. So once it's Jesus, we got to remind ourselves of this. He's a different kind of king of a different kind of kingdom. Yes, he is. And guess what? Heroes are different in his kingdom too. Heroes look a lot different in his kingdom too. They don't come in and push people around. They don't overthrow. They don't power over people. So what do heroes in a kingdom look like? You know what they do? They love on people. They help people. They rescue people. They see people. They listen to people. They have conversations with people. They feed people. They bring the hope and life and joy and freedom and love of Jesus to. This is inviting us into, here's the question. Is the hero that I hope to be and that I dream of being, that I want to be someday, keeping me from the opportunities that are right in front of me today? Is the hero, this idea of what I think a hero is and the hero I want to be someday, is that keeping me from the opportunities that are right in front of me today? How about this? Here's an alternative. Today, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to deny myself. And I'm going to surrender. I'm going to surrender what I want and expect my life to be. I'm going to surrender what I want and expect hero to be. And I'm simply going to seize and step into the opportunities that God is placing right in front of me. So who can you call? Who can you talk to? Who can you listen to? Who can you encourage? Who can you feed? Who can you pray for? It's all right there. Here's what I want to say to you. You do that, I'm going to simply seize and step into the opportunities that God is placing in front of me. You do that, and you watch, not what God does through you. He's going to do amazing things through you, but you watch, and you see what God is going to be looking for. Let me pray for us. Jesus, we need you. We need you. And you throw it down for us. You make it clear. There's not anything confusing about what it really means to follow you, what that life looks like. And even as we start to try to walk down just the first piece of this, to deny yourself, to totally surrender, to lay it down, to let it go, it's easier said than done. Jesus, show us. Show us the places in us that are keeping us from the life that you have for us. We want every single bit of it. We want to walk with you. We want to follow you. We want to be the kingdom heroes that you've called us to be, that you have created, uniquely created each one of us to be. And so, God, there's something unique. Help us to believe that there's a uniqueness to what we have to bring. And help us, give us the courage to take the next step, to simply take the next step, to look for the opportunities that are already right in front of us. We need you, Jesus. More than anything, would you continue to be the hero in our lives, in our stories? Would you continue to lead us to the life, this life to the fullest thing that is only available?
Service. Hey, I want to remind y'all, we do have that after party right after service. So get your laptop, get situated. If not, if you can't make it, no worries. We love you guys. We'll see you next weekend.
You're still here? It's over. Go live your life.